2021 Governing Council meeting to order. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Item 1.02, roll call vote to establish a quorum. Ms. Morrow Real.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Afton? Bayless? Brentwood?
Melissa Naird here.
Clayton?
Stacy Seawalk here.
Ferguson Florissant?
Kevin Martin here.
Hancock Place? Hazelwood? Jennings?
Present.
Kirkwood?
Darnell Frost, present.
Ladue? Lindbergh?
Jennifer Miller here.
Maplewood Richmond Heights?
Rachel Goldsman here.
Benita Jameson here.
Could you say those two names again for Maplewood Richmond Heights? Hi, Benita. Okay. And I didn't hear the other lady's name.
Rachel Goldsman.
Okay. Melville?
Larry Felton here.
Patrick McKelvey also here.
Okay. Normandy? Parkway?
Debbie Hopper here.
Pattonville? Rittner?
Bruce Greco here.
Okay. Riverview Gardens, I'm here. Rockwood?
Lynn Medette here.
University City?
Joanne Suda here.
Valley Park?
Adam Watson here.
And Webster Groves? Okay. Trying to count.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Move on to item 2.01, approval of the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda this evening. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this night's meeting?
So move, Parkway.
In a second.
Second, Kirkwood.
All right, any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those against, nay. Any abstentions? All right, moving along to item 3.01. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 7th, 2021 Governing Council meeting?
So move, Parkway.
In a second.
Second, Kirkwood.
All right, any discussion or changes that need to be made? All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Any abstentions? All right, motion approved. Item 4.01, public comment. Due to COVID-19 and holding meetings virtually, citizens are asked to submit statements prior to the meeting where they will be read, and we did not have any statements sent in this evening. Item 5.01, Parent Advisory Council updates. The new PAC president, Dr. Kamisha Carter, is with us this evening and has a presentation for us. Dr. Carter?
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Greetings and salutations. I bring you greetings from the SSD Parent Advisory Council. I am Dr. Kamisha Carter, and I do have two of my EC members here. I would like for them to just say hi to you. We have Rob Eden of Rittner. Rob, could you unmute? He is our current vice president.
Good evening, Council. My name is Rob Eaton. Glad to meet you.
And we also have our recording secretary, Christina Blankenship, who's a part of Clayton. May we please, thank you. May we please advance the slide? Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you so very much. As you can see that we have just gone over this slide and went through who was who and what was what. Currently, Bridget Wildschutz, who is our correspondent secretary, is not able to be with us this evening. And currently, our parliamentarian position is vacant. Would you please advance the next slide? Thank you. This year's PAC theme, next slide, please, is informed parents equals successful students. We believe as this year's PAC, we need to make sure that parents are thoroughly informed. I began my PAC journey with Ms. Carla Adolph, and she was like, you need to be a part of the PAC. I had no idea what the PAC was. So now our mission and our goal this year, one of our goals this year, is to make sure that parents are informed. If we have informed parents, we will have successful students, top and bottom line. So that's what our focus and our theme is this year. Will you please advance the slide? Thank you. Our 2021-22 goals are: goal 1, next slide, please. Build the PAC. Currently, we do not have representation in the northernmost part of the district to the southernmost part. So it's not just an economic thing, or it's not just a division thing. It's just basically we're not getting the word out to our northernmost parts of the district or our southernmost part. Our goal this year is to make sure that we will at least get 2 to 3 more PAC representation from our northernmost and our southernmost. We have began since July, and we have recruited a PAC in Jennings, as well as built up the PAC in Ferguson, Florissant. So we are excited about that. We're also continuing to reach out families who are part of the partnering districts and SSD schools to join a PAC or reestablish a local PAC. This is the reason why we are no good if we're just doing our own thing. We need to have our own families a part of it so that we all can be informed parents and successful students. May I have the next slide, please? Goal 2, communication. We're going to effectively communicate with parents in their native language. If you have ever received one of our news you can use, we are now using Spanish as our next language. We're going to also move into more Arabic and Swahili languages as time progresses. We're going to communicate more collaboratively with SSD. We are not a gotcha organization, but we want to be an organization that can help not only SSD improve their skills, but also help us as parents improve our skills, especially with the PETA and the Parent Leadership Institute. We want to communicate more effectively with our constituents, our boards, which we are part of tonight, in our community. If people don't know we're here, how can we effectively serve our community? How can we effectively serve our boards? How can we effectively serve our constituents? We cannot. So we are going to work hard with Jen Henry and others in the community to get the word out about the PAC and SSD. Next slide, please. Our next goal is in-house documents revision. We have to update our bylaws and our handbook and our new member handbook. As currently, we do not have anything about virtual or online meetings. So for that, we just have to revise the whole thing. Next slide. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Miller, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you stepped up to be president of the PAC, and I look forward to getting to know you more.
May I just say, Ms. Miller, I just love Dr. Carter's enthusiasm for this position. It's just a welcome to our group for that. I would say, just in touring our district, the board members have had the opportunity these past few weeks to tour a lot of our schools, which we haven't been able to do in the past couple of years. I asked a middle school teacher today, what is their biggest challenge? And what I hear and what I've heard in the past also are students, and I don't know that this is necessarily a PAC question, but I think it's for those of us who are so endearing to our SSD educators and the whole philosophy behind that. What can we do better to help these students that are so low functioning? They're low, they're at such a lower IQ level that they're actually still meeting the guidelines for not being able to have an IEP, but yet their IQs are so low that they're still needing some extra help and needing to help them progress within their education. Do we see SSD or our PACs working with families like that at all?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Ms. Hopper. First of all, thank you for that compliment. I truly appreciate it. Currently, our executive committee member, Bridget Walshus, has a low incident child. And we are learning more and more, especially myself, are learning more and more about systems that might need to be in place in her particular school. And also we're talking to SSD. I would like to also add Wendy Pendergrass to this question because she can give you more of the answers about the functionings, the IEPs, and the systems that are set up with SSD. What we are doing, and I'm glad you brought that up, what we are doing, that parent may not know her rights. She might get the parent bill of rights, but she might know what other things she can do or he or she can do to help her child get more assistance or help with SSD. So I'm gonna lend the floor to Wendy Pendergrass at this time and allow her to answer the rest of your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. And Ms. Hopper, we have a multitude of different levels of intervention that we use with all of our partner districts. When we look at our tiered interventions, we tend to partner with those students that are needing some type of intervention. I don't know if you're familiar with the tiered, very similar model of PBIS. So the percentage of students that benefit from typical instruction, the students that then also benefit from the typical instruction plus a few interventions, and then the top peer that would look at those students that need more than just a typical intervention. So we have multiple teams that work together, care teams, PLCs, looking at students and their data. We also have supports with our counselors, and the administrators in the group to provide support for all students. Of course, we want to get as many interventions in as possible prior to making that referral for possible testing.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone have anything else? Mrs. Suda?
Yes, thank you. Yes, Dr. Carter, I too admire your enthusiasm. Thank you for taking the role on. I'm in University City, and I think we're one of the districts that does not have a parent liaison. What process are you using to try to get the parents connected where you in the places where they're not?
Over the summer, can you hear me? Okay, over the summer, we began to reach out to directors and we began to reach out to area coordinators in those districts. Teresa Jones, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services in University City, she and I talked extensively this, one second, baby. She and I talked extensively this summer on what ways can we get parents to join the PAC. Here's the thing that we're finding out. We're finding out that the virtual situation or the online situation that has not been germane to reaching out to parents. Parents like to be touched. And as human beings, we do love to be touched. So that's one of the barriers that we're trying to work around. The second barrier that we're trying to work around is getting the word out. We have the PAC website. We have the PAC information. We have the PAC meetings and we have the news can use, but that's only into a closed environment. We are trying to break that door open and work and try to get with more families. So how is that being done? Number one, we are doing word of mouth, grassroots. Anybody you know that has a child that is in need and you don't know about the PAC, please let us know and we'll get that information to them. Number two, we are also working with Janica. I forgot Janica's name. Oh my God. Well, Jen Henry is her boss. So we're working with her to get more flyers out, updating our information on the SSD website as well as our website. We're also getting more pamphlets together so that we can do other different touch points with those families. We missed it this year, but you know, back to school, open houses and things of that nature, Boy Scouts, any opportunity that we can talk about the PAC, not only myself, but my executive committee, who is phenomenal, to touch and talk to people, we are doing that. Hopefully it will yield a great return towards the end of the year.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Carter. And we will move on to item 6.01, the superintendent's report. I believe we have an update on the partnership agreement, and that will be presented by Ms. Mack-Riddle.
Yes, thanks, Ms. Miller. Want to bring to you all of you the governing part, the governing council, the partnership agreement. The partnership agreement is something that we've worked hard on over the last year, and I think that but I know that Chiquita Mack-Riddle has led those efforts along with incorporating many of our liaisons within the partner districts, superintendent feedback, director feedback, and so I think we have a really good group of pieces of information. I too want to thank Dr. Carter too for being a part of the SSD PAC. I've been on several of the meetings with her, and it is really a nice focus area. She's really working to make sure the voices of our PAC members are heard, while at the same time making sure that we're addressing the needs of each individuals. And I think that kind of is the tone of where we're wanting to make sure that the partnership agreement is under the same thing. How do we make sure that we're working to support one another within each one of the partner districts? So I'm going to turn it over to Chiquita Mack-Riddle, who has been leading these efforts since last spring. Chiquita?
All right, thank you, Dr. Keenan. Good evening, Governing Council. It is great to be before you tonight. Myself, as well as Dr. Tammy Yates, the Assistant Executive Director of Partner Districts, will support me in the presentation tonight. It is our goal to provide you with an overview of the work that we collectively have concluded this summer in support of the partnership agreement to support all 22 districts throughout St. Louis County. Next slide. And so the partnership agreement was revised in 2019 as well as 2020, and again this school year. The tool was developed to ensure that our SSD directors, as well as those liaisons in each of our partner districts, that mutual relationships were established to focus on collaboration, responsibility, as well as goal achievement. And over the past year, we received feedback from many of our stakeholders regarding the agreement, and we wanted to ensure that we captured those voices collectively as we worked to revise our current partnership agreement. So the outcome of our committee was to ensure that we reviewed the agreement, of course, but we also captured the thoughts from the perspective of each of the stakeholders, our liaisons, our directors, our board members, our parents, but also school and district leadership. That includes both our partner district as well as our SSD leadership. Next slide. Members of our committee included 42 members. It was comprised of district level leaders, our superintendent, of course, Dr. Keenan, our district leadership team at SSD. We also ensured that we included our equity director, representatives from PETA, our transportation department, as well as technology. 17 of our partner district directors participated in the committee as well. And we were pleased to have, out of 22 districts, 10 of our partner district liaisons supported us in the revision process. We met 4 times this summer. And we were able to identify subcommittees. Those subcommittees focus specifically on each of those categories that we will discuss tonight that is relative to the partnership agreement. As we held those meetings, during each of those meetings, we ensured that we provided a summary update to the larger committee after each meeting to ensure that we were able to capture any feedback, but also to continue to support the work that was completed by each of the subcommittees. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. And so the summary again of the committee work, again, we reviewed the feedback provided via the survey. We had a survey that was completed by each of the members of our committee, but also at large, all of our directors, all of the liaisons and partner districts were a part of that process. I failed to mention during the last slide that we were gracious to have two of our board members to support us, Dr. Cuneo, as well as Director Tiffany Hudson, and we appreciate your support in this process as well. So again, those revisions were made from a universal position, allowing SSD leadership and our partner district leadership to work hand in hand. We even revised the rating scale. The new partnership agreement is now comprised of 7 categories, whereas the previous agreement, there were 10. And we'll talk about that a little bit further in our agreement in this presentation tonight regarding the agreement. So we have received that approval from our board. And if you take a look to the right, you see that there are 2 different categories. We have the previous partnership agreement, but also the current partnership agreement. And of course, you see the breakdown. If you take a look at staffing, well, the second category under the current partnership agreement, it's kind of hard to read the screen, so I do apologize. That's where we have our teaching, learning, and accountability. And this category was previously professional development. We wanted to ensure that we had an extensive focus on the instructional aspect, but also the accountability measures. And that's why the committee made the decision to revise that category name in its entirety. When you look at category 3, you see that initially we had clarification of responsibilities and resources, but what we've done is through the committee work, we merged several of those categories. Categories 3, 5, and 9 from the previous agreement all will be included in the current partnership under category 3, with that title now being collaboration of responsibilities and resources. And then when you take a look at category 5, initially, that area focused on both access to student data as well as technology. But of course, we know that data and technology work hand in hand. So it was in the best interest for us to, again, merge those categories as well. Next slide. And Dr. Yates will lead this part of the conversation.
Thank you, Ms. McRiddle. So we're going to take you through each of the categories step by step, just to outline some of the changes that were made. So starting with our category 1, it previously was staffing and continues to be staffing. And what we wanted to focus on here, as you can see, some of the words have been circled, not just so much an involvement in having people from SSD and partner districts be present, but also that we're collaborating and that we're actively working together on our staffing models in order to meet students' needs. So some of the changes the staffing subcommittee felt were important was, like I said, focusing on that collaboration, that there's more active involvement from both sides regarding the supervision, selection, and evaluation of staff. Also collaborating around alternative staffing models. We know that sometimes we have to get creative with those models. And so just having that understanding that we're going to collaborate and looking outside the box if we need to. Then identifying some strategies to increase staff retention. We've hit some challenges recently with hiring and retaining staff. And so we really wanted to focus on that. Then developing a plan of action when staff performance issues arise. And then finally, we moved the MTSS RTI into category 3, which is now our teaching and learning and accountability category, because we felt that it fit better in that category versus staffing. Next slide, please. So the category that we created, teaching, learning, and accountability, where it used to be just be professional development. But as we realized looking at this partnership agreement, we were kind of missing that, that instructional component with the teaching, learning, and then how we hold staff accountable. And with that becomes also the professional development becomes appropriate to go into that area. So some of the areas that we focused on is merging those because there was a lot of redundant information. That we really took a more explicit professional development focus, with our districts working on those tiered models and our professional development plans, really focusing on that. Then the added coordination of professional learning. We also included scheduling and opportunities for specialized and district-led initiatives, because we find it important, the SSD not only working on our initiatives, but seeing how we can align those with what we are working in those partner districts. Then we added partner district to provide general education resources and materials, because as we know that professional development and those instructional components that we have in the partner district have a lot to offer, as well as SSD then providing that more specialized approach to reach the specialized needs of our students. And so then we would provide those specialized materials such as assistive technology to address any unique needs of our students. And then finally, the partner district and SSD felt it important to share the responsibility of the student assessment, data, and monitoring of student achievement. So not only looking at what SSD has to offer with those data components, but then also looking at our partner district and how we can work together and share that information to then drive our instruction and looking at student achievement. Next slide, please. So then our section 3 is now collaboration of responsibility and resources. So we combined 3 areas to go into this new section, where before we had category 3, which was clarification of responsibilities. We had category 5, which was collaboration to enhance continuous improvement. And then we had category 9, which was space allocation. So we felt in looking at all of those, it really outlined how we need to collaborate with a multitude of responsibilities and resources and how we can bring those together. So some changes that we looked at were overall specifying those roles and responsibilities as a collaborative group. We added some roles and responsibilities for strategic planning. We really want to focus on equity and addressing the individualized needs of the students and bringing to them what they need to be successful. And in addition to supplying materials and resources from that equity lens, really looking at where those areas of disproportionality are and how we can use our resources and our collaboration to address those areas of disproportionality. Next slide, please. Our section 4 was student services and continues to be student services, because we felt that that was a good comprehensive overview of what we provide through student services. So we have an intense focus on all students, not only special education, but looking at that general education also and collaborating, kind of as Ms. Pendergrass was talking earlier about those multi-tiered systems of support, such as PBIS or RTI, and that social emotional learning component for students, which we all know is so important. So we looked at how we can evaluate and improve those models, focusing on the specific needs of all students from an equity lens when allocating those resources, as I talked about a little bit earlier. And then adding those grade level and positive transitions when developing procedures and tools for academic success, really looking at how we can increase services for our students to help help their post-secondary outcomes. And then really looking at how our equity of services and resources can be allocated across the county according to what the specific needs of students are in each individual partner district. Next slide, please.
And so data and technology, in this particular area, the changes that we have identified include more detailed role and responsibilities, as we've talked about in some of the other categories. We wanted to ensure that individuals knew what was expected, and we also wanted to ensure who was responsible and what those particular outcomes would be. Regarding the development of the processes to provide general education staff, partner district staff, students, and families with technology resources, we wanted to ensure that individuals understood what was expected in that particular area. So they also worked on developing a process for bidirectional data, sharing and identifying the roles and responsibilities. Again, who are those parties from either the partner district or special school district, and what are those specific expectations and roles again? We want to ensure that processes are followed in accordance with our policies and procedures in both districts, and also There are some additional processes that are included, again, with roles and responsibilities when it's necessary to apply specific resources and needs in those conversations to individual districts. The highlighted information in this area includes ensuring that a systematic process was developed to provide technology resources, again, to our staff, our students, as well as our families, as well as our general education staff. We wanted to, again, ensure that as they develop those processes when necessary, that they pay attention closely to those highlighted areas under item 7, where we're focusing on professional development and those particular resources and technology tools to support the professional development. But also sharing those best practices and innovations in technology resources, and also providing assistive technology, as well as our AUG communication devices and any software subscriptions and other applications that fulfill the requirements of a student's IEP. So ensuring that we have those conversations, that individuals understand how they can obtain support in those areas, again, to ensure that we're supporting the individualized needs of students. And then also having the chief technology officer and partner district directors, as well as district leadership, to work together to annually develop and sign a technology agreement that plans for current and future technology processes and needs as outlined. And of course, this is when necessary, these particular topics that we've talked about in this particular area. Next slide. With regards to transportation, there were quite a few changes here. Items 4 through 8 in the previous agreement, they are now all supported through item 1 in the current agreement. And the reason behind that is because transportation is determined through the IEP team as a related service, and it should not be something that is developed in collaboration just between the partner districts. Of course, that conversation has to take place, but again, those decisions should be made by the IEP team. Item 9 in the previous agreement will now be used as those evidence measures during the assessment and the evaluation phase of the partnership agreement to ensure that we are supporting the individualized needs of our students, but also providing them with those safe transportation resources. Next slide. Career and technical education. In this particular area, mostly all of the items remained the same, but we had a lot of updates and the information is now more detailed. But it also includes adopting of policies and procedures, both with our partner district as well as with SSD, to ensure that we are in alignment with what is expected of us from both of those districts. But we also want to ensure that we collaborate with our community partners to maximize resources and to ensure that we are developing new programs to support the needs of all learners. We also sharing opportunities that will benefit students as well as families. Next slide. Next slide. All right. And so what you have before you, this is the information in regards to our assessment and evaluation. And it shows you a comparison of our previous partnership agreement rating scale and what we will use currently. The changes in this particular area basically notes that we will have a rating scale of 0 to 3. Previously, the rating scale was 1. We looked at and we decision, of course, the rating would be 0. We also looked at ensuring that we captured if the plan has been implemented and or if it's fully implemented, and that's what you see for a 1, and the outcomes are associated with the measures for each of the categories in our partnership agreement. Next slide.
Thank you, Ms. McRiddle. So we're going to talk a little bit about next steps. So moving on here, after we have already had our board has approved our new partnership agreement. And what we are working for now is speaking with our directors and our partner district liaisons to find a board meeting in each partner district to where they, the director and the liaison, can collaboratively present the partnership agreement to the board. After that, if answering any questions, any concerns regarding it, and then the partnership agreement will then require the signature of the following individuals. So we have both superintendents of special school district and the superintendent of each partner district, the SSD board president, and the partner district board president. And what those signatures are agreeing to is that we are all together collaboratively endorsing the vision, mission, and belief statements outlined in the Educational Partnership Agreement of St. Louis County. That we're agreeing to support and collaborate with each other and share in that responsibility in providing equitable and seamless implementation of services for every student. That all parties understand the educational agreement and it will guide our collaborative efforts to enable every child to achieve his or her full potential. And that we're also committing to working cooperatively to implement the principles of the partnership agreement in the school district. And we feel that we will be able to do all of those things because we, like Ms. McRiddles talked about in the beginning, we had a very comprehensive and variety of stakeholders that participated in the revision of this partnership agreement. And we feel that we have a very good working document that will allow us to continue to work together to meet all of our students' needs. Next slide, please. Okay. Finally, does anybody have any questions?
Hi, this is Lynn Midya, and good job. And having been on the team that created the original partnership agreement, I think this is a great next step. My question is this, though. What is the process for doing actually the evaluation of going in and looking at those different areas and doing the rating?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lynn. And so with the evaluation component, we talked about how, number one, we have to ensure that the information is presented to both partner districts, their school boards, and we do give those school boards the autonomy to determine what that will look like. But our day-to-day work will include those directors working very close with liaisons and to ensure that they capture that information at the beginning of the school year, but as they go through the school year, at the end of the school year, they have to continue to have those conversations and go back to revisit and to see where that progress has been made. Additionally, we know that as leaders, it's important for us not only to just have that conversation and to just have a check off, but what are our artifacts? What information, what are our resources that demonstrate the work that has been done and how can we align it to our day-to-day practices? And so one of the things that we've started this school year off with is having those individualized conversations with each of our partner districts that included myself as well as the superintendent, Dr. Keenan, our superintendents of each of the partner districts, as well as our directors and the liaisons to have those conversations and to talk about what is expected with the partnership agreements.
So I'm assuming you'll get a baseline,
absolutely,
correct? And then will there be a written plan to how to improve the different areas of improvement?
And so
keeping with the continuous improvement approach?
Absolutely. And so again, having those ongoing conversations, having that accountability piece to take its place and to ensure that that information is shared at with each of our school boards.
Because I think one of the challenges has been is really implementing the previous partnership plan. It's a great document to look at, but how do we bring it alive to really make meaningful change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good work.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a question, Parkway. What is the time frame for getting through to all of the board meetings to present the new partner district, the new partnership documents?
And sure, the conversation that we've had with each of those
So Chiquita, you're breaking up, so I'll speak to that. When we talk to the
That's
superintendents,
Okay.
when we talk to the superintendents, we've given them to November 5th. So we can have opportunities to work through several board rotations throughout the month of September and October.
Kevin Martin from Ferg Floor. I have a quick question. I'm sure you're surprised since we worked quite closely with our partnership agreement last year and appreciate that. So I noticed in there, one of the things is about compliance with both districts, like board policies. I'm just curious, how does that work or look? I know like in our district, we're instituting vaccine mandates and things like that. And so for our employees, how does that work on both ends for either those types of policies or equity policies that may be passed that aren't the same levels of restrictions, whether it's about teaching and learning or about different PD that people have to attend that might conflict with other policies. So how does that work in the new partnership agreement as it talks about compliance with both districts' board policies, essentially, if I read that correctly? And I apologize if I misread that.
So Kevin, thank you for that, Dr. Martin. So with the compliance pieces of it, we have to look at it in terms of what the current policies that we have that are kind of in conjunction with the partner districts policies. Now, when you spoke specifically about policies around vaccines, that's under our, we also have the similar vaccine mandate too for our staff in terms of what that looks like is a little slightly different because of the way our policy reads versus the way Ferg Floor adopted it. Whenever there's things that relate to our joint resolution, we have to follow those pieces of it too. So that's why we have our directors of special education in the partner districts, and every one of them. That was a change that we made going into this year, so that there is that crossing over of what is it that looks like in terms of our joint resolution, what does it look like in terms of the policies that works for employees, but also what are the policies that are supportive of the partner district students. And so that's where your partner district policies come into play.
Thank you. And my other question, just to follow up, just I thought of, when do you think the evaluation be a good time to do in the school year? So it could effectively impact change if there's discussions around staffing changes or whatever the case may be. When do you think the general time frame would be good to kind of review the evaluation partnership agreement to actually kind of rate where we're at after we get the baseline data in the fiscal year?
Chiquita, did you guys talk about that in your meetings?
Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, so I think is it Lynn or sorry,
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Lynn Mignette.
Yeah, so thank you. Asked, about evaluation, like when do we do it to impact change? So I guess my question is like, when do you think in the fiscal year it's good to evaluate? Because obviously we wait to June 30th if we're like, oh, we're way off and we want to improve in this area, and both our district and our director of special education agree that this is something we want to focus on. Obviously, June 30th is not a good time for staffing, I imagine, or budget purposes to start saying on the SSD end, oh yeah, that's a great plan, we can institute that. So when do you think on a partner district side is a good time to review this, evaluate to kind of see where we want to grow in areas, if it does require fiscal or human resources?
Yes. And so, Dr. Martin, we did talk about annually taking a look at that at the end of the school year. We didn't specifically say June 30th, but more so at the close of the school year, prior to students exiting. A lot of the work that we are doing with our partner districts on a annual basis, we're wanting to conclude most of those conversations prior to the state assessment, because we know that we want to, of course, respect that particular time. So definitely we do know as the committee that we are expecting to receive input as we are tonight, and we can definitely take a look at having those conversations to extend and to identify where we see it best to make those decisions.
All right. right, if there's nothing else, we can move on. And thank you for presenting that. It looks like there's lots of positive changes to the agreement. I look forward to seeing its implementation.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 7.01, approval of FY21 budget adjustment. We have one this evening, Dr. Hogg.
Yes, good evening. This is just the simple budget adjustment for moving money from our general revenue fund balance to our general fund and then our teachers fund. This is the $14,800,000 for the stipend that we did this summer. And really, we just need to move it from reserves into the funds so that it is expended.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the FY21 budget adjustment?
This is
So
Veronica
moved,
Morrow,
Lori
Riverview
Felton.
Gardens.
All right, in a second.
I'll second Riverview Gardens.
Okay, are there any questions or discussion? All right, not hearing anything, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those against say nay. Any abstentions? All right, motion to approve the FY21 budget adjustment has passed. Item
Thank you.
8.01, recognitions. Tonight we have our PBIS Awards for the 2020-2021 school year. It will be presented by Ms. Tina Makshay.
Hello, good evening, Governing Council. As was stated, my name is Tina Makshay. I'm the Director of Professional Learning for Special School District. And it truly is my distinct honor to be with you tonight to celebrate the hard work, dedication, and accomplishments of some of our amazing schools and all of their exemplary efforts in implementing a multi-tiered system of support called PBIS for positive behavior interventions and supports. A little bit of background around this work is the National Center defines PBIS as an evidence-based or three-tiered framework for improving and integrating data, systems, and practices affecting student outcomes every day. Or in other words, providing an intentional, safe, predictable, and supportive environment for all students to thrive. Our PBIS facilitators last year and for more than 2 decades have partnered with schools across St. Louis County and have really seen such growth over time and look forward to celebrating continued growth and accomplishments as we have broadened those roles to support MTSS or multi-tiered systems of support. As you know, the last year and a half have certainly brought many challenges that we never could have imagined, which impacted our day-to-day lives and caused educators to shift, to pivot, and really to be innovative and steadfast in their commitment to students and communities. So these challenges, while beyond what we could have expected, we have 5 schools that we are truly celebrating tonight who have met these challenges head on and using their collective abilities, implementing PBIS with authenticity and certainly with great integrity to best support students. So they are shining examples of how passion, flexibility, and dedication partnered with strong systems implementation can do so much for all students, and they truly deserve this celebration. So let's honor those schools. And so here are our 2020-21 Missouri School-Wide PBIS Award of Excellence recipients. Next slide, please. First, in the Bayless School District, we have Bayless Elementary. They are celebrating the Gold Award, and they have received that for 10 years now. So congratulations, Bayless. What a job well done. Next slide. We also want to celebrate the Hazelwood School District and specifically Walker Elementary, winning their Silver Award. They too are also celebrating 10 years of this accomplishments. So congratulations to Walker Elementary. Next slide. The Kirkwood School District is honoring Westchester and their Gold Award. And Westchester is celebrating 15 years as an award recipient as well. So congratulations to Westchester and the Kirkwood School District. Next slide, please. We also want to honor Normandy Schools Collaborative this year as they have 2 awards. And the first one goes to Washington School, and they are have been awarded the Bronze Award this school in the 2021 award. And next slide, please. And our fifth celebration tonight, also within the Normandy Schools Collaborative, is Normandy Early Learning Center, and they are receiving the Silver Award. So congratulations to these 5 schools, again, on a job well done in earning the Missouri School-wide PBIS Award of Excellence. So we certainly are proud and grateful for the partnership throughout the years and know that this will only continue to grow. And we thank you for that dedication to implementing those tiered systems of support and practices for all students. And also thank you to the Governing Council for this opportunity to share and recognize the work of these phenomenal schools as well. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. McShay. All right. Does anybody have any comments or questions? All right, we will move on to item 9.01, calendar of events. Included in board docs is a list of upcoming Governing Council meetings and tentative agenda topics for each meeting. Our next meeting is December 6th. Item 10.0, announcements. The district does not have any announcements this evening. Are there any Governing Council members that have an announcement? All right, item 11, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So move. Parkway.
And a second?
Second, Kirkwood.
All right. Those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, before you adjourn, okay, before you adjourn, if someone came on that missed the roll call, please contact either myself or Rita by email or text.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
You too. Good night.
Thank you.